This is the Titan Futures 1 point a day challenge. Earning your living executing trades from the comfort of your home seems a lot more cool than most 9 to 5 gigs. Trouble is, if you don't know what you're doing, you can wreck your portfolio. But with our trading instructors, BK, Soto, and Mitchell, you'll learn how to day trade the futures market. Streaming daily, 9 to 11 a.m. Free. This is a free trading education channel. The Titan Futures 1 point a day challenge, where everybody is welcome. Get in the chat, ask us questions, learn. And now your instructors. This is BK, Soto, and Mitchell.
Hey, how we doing, guys? This is BK back for the night session. This is going to be the first night session of Titan Futures, and it's going to be kind of rocky, but that's all right. We're just trying to figure some things out and kind of make a transition here. So if you're here, well, thank you. It's September 26th. It is pushing about 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. So we're kind of running behind here, but thanks for checking us out. We're kind of going to test this thing out, and if you're new to if you've never seen our channel before, we run every morning from 9 to 11. We run a day trading chat here at Titan Futures in the channel, a live channel, a free channel to learn to trade the futures market on from 9 to 11 every morning. But actually now we're going to start pushing in an evening session a few nights a week to kind of do some swing trading on a larger time frame, based on the method still, but it's all based on supply and demand and support and resistance and price action and volume. So basic stuff, which is what it should be about anyway. But we'll start doing this in the evening as well, because we know a lot of people would like to trade, but they're just not around the computer all day like we are in the morning, and they unfortunately have to have as of this point in time, they have a 9 to 5 gig, and they'd like to trade still, but it's going to have to be in the evening time. So we're going to try to make that available and kind of test this out a little bit. But if you take the chance to kind of read the description below the channel there, you can kind of see who we are and what we're about. We're a free channel, obviously, and which I guess all YouTubes are free, but what we teach here is we don't charge class. We don't have a product to sell to you as far as this goes. We do have an auto trader product, but we don't push it, but you can sure look at it and check it out. We'll talk about it from time to time, but it's in the description there. If you want to learn more about it, you can do so. But this is a place where you can learn to trade for free. We can learn our method, and if you like it, that's great. And I hope you enjoy it. But you can come here to kind of learn. It's a stress-free environment, no stupid questions. Doesn't matter if you've been trading 30 years or trading, 3 days. It don't matter, so or 30 minutes for that matter. It just doesn't matter. So I want you to enjoy the channel. It's a positive channel, so we want you to be very encouraging to each other in the chat. Like I said, this is the first time going around, but if you read the description there, you'll see we have 3 traders here. We have myself, Soto, and Mitchell. Mitchell's on his honeymoon right now. He's in Bali on a honeymoon, so good for him. But he'll be back next week. But we got Soto, and Soto, I think we can hear you pretty good chomping around there, whatever you're doing. But
I'm really sorry.
That's all right. So, Soto, tell us how you doing, man.
I'm still working on that. That's what I was doing, so sorry. But in the meantime, I did make a point, but not to be proud of. Just
you made a point already. Did you make a point on based on our 5-minute chart or an hour chart?
5 minutes. Yeah, just 5 minutes. Yeah. I didn't do the new stuff just because of I was waiting for you.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So you made it. But you went ahead because we trade on a 5-minute time frame from 9 to 11 every morning. So like he was mentioning, this is going to be a different situation here, and I'll kind of explain it and teach it. But it's a swing trading method here. There's always something nice about looking for a trade to set up. Go ahead and put orders in based on your method, and wake up to profits in the morning. That's always nice. So it's a good feeling. You are going to wake up to some losses too, but the good thing about how we trade though, our losses are always smaller than our winners. So that's just cool. We'll have sometimes 3, 4, 5 times what we do, what we lose. But which is cool. But that's kind of what's going to happen on the evening. That's when you see my chart now sitting on an hourly time frame. It's the same chart we do in the morning on a 5-minute chart on a time frame, but we just have an hour going here. So we won't. This will be short tonight. Not a lot going. I mean, not a lot. Trying to figure out some things, I guess you could say, and trying to work it out because we want Soto to kind of run it in the morning, and I'll come in the evenings and run. So we're trying to get that worked out, but everybody. So thanks for being here. But Soto, you made a point on a 5 minute. You said.
I did.
All right, good. Did you? Was that short or long?
I went short.
You went short. Okay. All right. Cool.
Right at 2975.75. I got in at the 2030 candle, and then I made my point, and then they came back and I got the rest. I got to take that on one tick. So.
Okay, so you went in at a 2030 candle. So let me break this down to a 5 minute real quick to show what you're talking about, because most people don't know what that means probably. So you're down here at the 2030 candle. You said a 2030?
2030.
Okay, why'd you go in on that one?
Okay, well. I was just trying to test it for the swing thing.
The swing
and so I was just trying to get into the trade. I figured I really thought I was going to keep going short. I thought we were going to be a long push down, which it may be. It may just be in a breather right now, and then it's going to push down. So, but I was kind of messing around, and it ended up working out great. But I was trying to do it long, like a swing, the thing we're going to be working on, but I was jumping ahead of you trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's I would say not a real trade, but it ended up working out, so it worked out great. But
okay, cool. Well, that's cool, man.
Just luck. Yeah, like I said, I figured they were going to come back. I've had that blue line there, and so that line is from previous supplier demand.
Okay.
That's where that line is from. So I've had that. So I figured we're there. So it was high risk, but I was trying to figure out what we're about to figure out here with you. So whether we just jump in
because he's referring, if anybody's just jumping on, he's referring to the 5 minute charts we traded in the mornings. So he was still looking at that from the 5 minute this morning. We had some great trades this morning. Made a lot of points this morning, which was cool. So it's always fun. But we trade in the mornings from 9 to 11 again, and that's our main trade. But this is going to be the first time we're going to start doing some night trading here, but more swing trading, where in the mornings we'll still intraday, though. We're not going to, when I say swing trading, I'm talking about intraday swing trading. So we'll always be out of the market at close, no matter what. Okay, so we're not going to hold positions overnight. Just don't think it's worth it unless you're carrying a very, very large account, and most people just aren't doing that. So we'll carry some small swing trades, I guess, through the night, but which is cool. It's not even overnight, through the night, as far as technical terms go, which is nice. So we'll do that and kind of teach a little bit of the method there. But it's very basic, guys. We don't. You see my chart here. We'll put a few things on there, but we don't do any kind of indicator-based trading for the most part. But the stuff that we do is very just no oscillators, none of that kind of stuff. So what you'll see on my chart right now is basically is what it looks like. So the bottom you see volume bars. So there's the basic volume bars, right? And you'll see a swing indicator. That's the only real indicator I have is a swing indicator, and it's just for visual purposes. That's all it's for. Okay, we trade on support and resistance and supply and demand here, guys. So based on volume and price action, that's how we trade. So I think it's been very, very successful for a very long time. So we can kind of do it, which is really cool. You can do our method on it. Doesn't matter what kind of product you trade or what kind of chart you trade on. As long as there is a chart, you can trade the method. That's what's cool. So if S&P 500 is not your thing, if the futures aren't your thing, you can do it on stocks. You can do it on commodities. You can do it whatever you want to do. Options, it does not matter. Okay, so which is what's cool about it. But yeah, so kind of what we're doing is just jumping on here briefly and kind of go through something. We'll end up building up a night session. Most nights, probably 3 to 4 nights, 5 nights out of probably. Let me think through here. Probably 3 to 4 nights out of the week, and I'll kind of get that scheduled together. But it's going to be based on. We're not going to be every night just because there's some nights price action just doesn't do much until the wee hours of the morning, and I don't want to stay up, to the wee hours of the morning. So um, we won't be doing that. But there's a lot of price action tends to happen around the Asian market open. There's good volume on the S&P 500, enough for us to make some trades, and so we'll take advantage of those. Okay, simple as that. We'll take advantage of some of that stuff. But with all that being said, it's kind of, let's kind of pull it together and see what we got, and kind of run through it briefly. So, Sody, do you have your chart on a hourly time frame yet, or are you still?
I do now. Yes, I got it there, ready to rock. I have everything empty except for the blue lines. I have some blue lines at 2986.25, 81.5, and 75.75. Should I just delete those lines?
Yeah, for this purpose, I'd delete them. Those are all generated on the 5-minute price action from the last couple days that we've been trading in the morning. So I'd go ahead and eliminate those for this process, for this little session here, just because we're jumping to an hour candles versus the 5 minutes that we trade on intraday in the mornings from 9 to 11. We'll do all 5-minute candles there. But so yeah, might as well get rid of those blue lines for time being on your chart.
Yes, sir.
And just kind of make it a basic, easy chart to look at. Very clean, and clean is better most times. So
yes, sir. All right, it's clean.
So if you're new to the channel, I sure do appreciate you checking us out. But it's just we got some things. We're a new channel actually, going on 26 days now, or 25 days now. So we're brand new. So we're still trying to figure out how to, technology-wise, and how to present a good product for everybody, because we want this to be a channel that everybody can kind of learn on and be a part of, and because it's what we're going to teach here is all free. We don't I'm not going to try to show you some good stuff after the fact and then try to sell you something. That's not what we do here. So everything we do is live intraday, no overnight. We don't hold through the overnight session, if that makes sense. But we will trade on the swing trading through the night, but the market closes only for 30 minutes to an hour, depending on where you're at and what you're doing. But it's after the market closes for an hour, then it's back open again. So that hour, 30 minutes to hour, depending on what product you trade, is considered to be the overnight session, and we don't hold through that, just strictly because of margin requirements, guys. There's no reason to hold through that, but we will look to do swing trading in the evening time and let it trade through the Asian session and European session. So, so that's good, So that's good. So, again, thanks for being here and checking us out. But if trying to do this for people that can't trade during the day or in the morning, but have an interest in trading and learning how to trade, we'll have this night session about 4 nights a week, and we'll put a schedule out so it's consistent, but we'll do that about 4 nights a week to kind of teach you a little bit about the futures market and how to trade it, and at least from a swing trading standpoint, since you can't trade during the daytime in the market. But you'll get, what's cool about that though is also you'll take a lot of the human emotion out at night, just because you're not going to sit in front of the chart. You're going to eventually put it in there and then walk out. So, which is good. By the end of the day, by the end of our session, you'll either have a trade in and you'll set it and kind of forget it, and then it will through the night put your trade into the profit. But yeah, I appreciate you making mention of that. So we kind of rushed through this right here, and we're kind of behind. So I didn't put the disclaimers out there. So I'm going to throw one up for you real quick so everybody can see it. But I appreciate you saying what you said. Yeah. But that is the quick disclaimer. Take a look at that and read it. This is all for educational purposes, guys. This is the exact disclaimer we put out every morning during our trading session from 9 to 11. And that's a live session, so you can always check it out and be a part of that if you'd like. It'd be great. But subscribe if you'd like, and that way you can kind of get notifications on when we do go live and trade. But anyway, this is disclaimers. Everything's for educational purposes, guys. So nothing we do here is a trade recommendation in any way, shape, or form. So any trade you get into is on your own thoughts and processes and actions there. It has nothing to do with what we decide here, okay? So that's kind of the legal stuff. It's in the description below, and you can kind of have links to it and take the time to read it if you'd like. but I appreciate you remembering that. Thank you. All right, man. Cool. So I got legal disclaimers out of the way, so that's good. That's good. All right. So, Soto.
Yes.
All right, man. Why don't you talk about, instead of me yapping, why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about what we do here? I think you do a good job explaining it. I think you're good at because you have a fresh voice. You're fairly new to trading, but you've done phenomenal in this method. Made thousands of percent in your account, which is awesome. But I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and I kind of tend to forget about some things. So why don't you go ahead and kind of explain a little bit about what we do?
Sure.
Well,
I have enough of my work on it tonight, so I'm looking forward to that.
Well, then
I like how my requirement for being qualified to explain is my inexperience.
Yeah, you're very inexperienced. No, I'm just
Anyway,
you're good at it. I bet you, I've got a little bit of delay on you right now, so I imagine everybody else does. So I'd hate
okay, can you right here talking to me right now?
Yeah, I got a little bit of delay even with talking to you now, off and on.
Okay, do you want to rather, and I answered on my phone by mistake, can you call me real quick back and I can answer on my computer?
Yeah, let me do that. Let me call you right back, and then, yeah, no worries.
All right, BK?
Yeah, I hear you better. Good. I hear you better. So I don't know if everybody else has got an echo or not. I hope not, but they very well could. But I'll just kind of go ahead and do the explaining because tonight's going to be short and sweet. Not a lot to it. But you got a lot of background noise. If you don't care, just go ahead and mute that, and then
Yeah. All right.
And then you just chime when you want to talk. Just try to chime in, unmute and chime in if you don't care. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, guys. Yeah. So what we do, we trade off of 4 things here, guys. We trade off of let me type this out. Maybe it'll make it a little bit easier than me trying to draw right-handed with the mouse. So since I'm not right-handed, it makes it even worse. So we try to trade off 4 things. Okay. 4. I'm gonna call it 4 tools. Okay. We trade on 4 tools here. We'll go ahead and lay out each one of those out. First tool we have here was we trade on volume. We have volume. I gotta stop doing that. We trade on volume. I'll try to make this a little bit better for everybody. Hold on a minute. Trade on volume. We trade on price action. PA. Well, I better spell it out for everybody. I can. Dang. Price action. Okay, we'll get there in a second. Sorry, guys. Price action. Alright, volume price action. S&R. Support and resistance. I think most of everybody knows that. That's kind of been around for a little bit. Support and resistance there, and then the last one is going to be supply and demand. All right. Oh. All right. My mic just fell here. Give me 1 second. All right. All right. So these are the 4 tools that we trade on every day, every morning, on intraday trading. So we'll still do those here in the evening as well. But we'll do it on a little bit different basis. In the evening, it's more of a swing trading strategy versus in the morning, it's a day trading strategy to get in and out. This swing trading will also be intraday, but it'll just be through the evening time. But it's still going to be off the same 4 tools. Okay, we keep things very basic here because simple is better. That's the bottom line. Most people that have traded for a long time and been very successful at it, or simplicity is a big part of their trading toolbox, so to speak. They don't overcrowd their charts. They don't put too much on it. They don't put very many indicators on there. I've seen charts that would just you put you in awe, because there's just so much going on, and it's just 15 different indicators on there, and you're just like a cow looking at a new gate, man. And it's just kind of deer in the headlights look, if you want to talk about it that way. And it's just a process by analysis kind of concept, and it's just not good for you. So what we do here is very simple. We use 4 tools, man: volume, price action, support and resistance, and supply and demand. So that's kind of how we trade. And as you can see on my chart, it's very clean, not a lot to it. These are all 1-hour candles, and you'll see a swing indicator right there that I've highlighted. That it's going to pop up here in a minute. It got a little bit of a delay. I'm looking at the chart. I think there's a little bit of a delay there, so sorry about that. But what I've highlighted there is a swing indicator, and that's just for visual purposes. Nothing more than that. Visual purposes. Okay. It's just something I like to see, because I've had it in my arsenal for a long time, so it's more of a comfort. But we identify and we identify support and resistance and supply and demand based on volume and price action, and that's how we decide to make trades and enter trades on our daily basis in our 9 to 11 trade room. And but at the same time, we'll do it here on the swing trading. It's just going to be bigger moves, because you're talking about hour time frames. Okay, so the moves are going to take longer and they're a little bit bigger, and that's why they're good to trade through the night, so you can make your money while you're sleeping. And so that we've got, based on the Auto Trader that we have as a program, that not pushing it, but one of the beautiful things about the Auto Trader, it's pointed out the best times to trade for swing trades, which I really like. So I'll kind of mimic those as far as every night in the trade session. I'll try to when we do these live streams at night, I'll kind of end up trading some of those same areas that the Auto Trader trades, but they'll, instead of staying up all night, the Auto Trader does the trading on its own. So but I'll kind of do that here and kind of put us into some of those same trades, which are great. So there's certain days that really kill it, and there's certain days that it's just better not even to mess with it. And that's why I said I'll put the schedule out kind of on the evening. This is our first night here. I don't have everything set up yet, but from descriptions to everything, I don't have all that set up just yet, because it was kind of a last minute situation here. But there'll be 4 nights probably out of the week we do that, starting Sunday night. One of the cool things about it, the big trades are usually at the beginning and the end of the markets, so it's always cool. The kind of the alpha omega concept, at the beginning and the end. Usually, and somewhere in the middle, every once in a while, we have some really good trades. So on the swing trade methodology. But again, so we use volume, price action, support and resistance, and supply and demand. Okay. So you might be asking, well, what are all those about? How do you define all those? If you look, and we'll go over some of that tonight on a very light basis. On a very light basis, we'll go over some of that. And but if you'll watch the channel there, we got videos dedicated to each one of these tools here that you can kind of learn, watch, and a little bit about them, learn a little bit about them, and kind of see what we're talking. Because even though we do that on a 5-minute time frame, it still applies to the hour time frame. So go ahead, Soto, what you got?
No, sorry. Can you hear a lot of noise? Is it not working still?
No, yeah, I hear all the noise. Yeah, I just didn't know if you were getting ready to chime in and talk or what. Which is fine. If you got something to say, man, please say something.
No, I don't. No. Go ahead, keep going.
You don't? Okay.
No.
We usually have a lot to say, man.
I'm trying to figure it out. Is this working like it is in the morning right now?
Yeah, just like it is in the morning. Yeah.
Okay, so we're good. Okay. All right, so keep going. Yeah, perfect.
Yep. Okay. All right.
So okay, I got a question. What is swing trading? Because first you got people coming in. I don't know what swing trading is. What is swing trading?
Yeah, swing trading is just where you hold a position over a longer period of time. Um, what we're doing, and when we say swing, most swing trading is 3 to 5 days, to 3 to a couple weeks, to a couple weeks. But we're not going to do that. Our swing trading is intraday trading, meaning that my trades, because I don't hold a position overnight, man. I don't like it. I don't like having being put on the margin on me to trade overnight. Especially if I want to get in some extra positions. I don't care for it. So I just don't like holding positions overnight. And so we're going to do more of an intraday swing trade, meaning that our positions are going to come in at night, and they're going to be held through the night or in the morning. So they're not swing trades in the traditional sense that they're held overnight, if that makes sense, or a longer period of time for few days to a few weeks. We're not doing that kind of swing trading. We're going to be doing intraday swing trading, meaning that we'll get into a position at night, but because of the way we're going to trade and the targets we'll use and the stops we'll use, we'll be out of the market. Worst case, we'll be out of the market prior to market close the next day. Okay, so if it doesn't do anything through the night, it usually will by the time market opens, but we'll have our positions in there to where we'll be taken out as a profit target or a stop loss prior to the market close the next day, so we don't get caught in overnight margin. So from a swing trading standpoint, you're just holding the trade a little bit longer, holding position a little bit longer over a few hours to a few days. And but we're going to eliminate the days because we're not going to hold overnight. So there's some technically, I mean, you could call this still intraday trading, but our intraday trading is a lot different than most intraday tradings, because when we trade from 9 to 11 on our live streams in the morning at 9 to 11, man, when we're taking 1-point stops and 1-point targets and then letting a runner run. So that's what I call intraday trading, that's what we're doing, scalping to intraday trading in the morning. Okay, so so it's a little bit different than this method. We're going to have a wider stop, but we have, our targets will be 3 to 4 times as large too, but it'll be based off the same type of parameters and zones that we create, but they'll still look to be a very good position. So from a volume standpoint, let's just kind of talk through that real quick. Volume down here, these are it's just a standard volume up down indicator that you can get. We use NinjaTrader first off, so if you're just now joining us, sorry about that. We use NinjaTrader. Okay, we enjoy that platform. I've used it for a very long time, and I'm very comfortable with it. So, and it provides everything you need, and they're a brokerage firm as well, so you can kind of do everything in one-stop shop, and I like that. But anyway, so what we're using here is a NinjaTrader platform with our charts. We have volume, just a volume up down. It's just a indicator that's part of the tool package here. So it's nothing fancy, okay, nothing imported, so you're not going to have to go out and buy a third-party indicator. We don't do that. We're not going to sell that any kind of thing to you. We use what tools we're given based on the platform, which is good because it's really all you need, right? Because the market's going to do 3 things, isn't it? It's going to go up, down, or sideways. So I don't need 15 special indicators, lagging indicators at that's been coded by somebody else to convince me to buy it. I just don't need that. So it's okay if you like that, you do that. I'm not knocking that. That's just not what we do, not what I'm comfortable doing, and not what I've been successful at doing. So we're just going to kind of stay away from that. So again, we're very basic, which is cool. We're very basic. Okay. So we see volume down here at the bottom. Again, that's what these green and yellow and red bars are. The green and red bars are that's all volume. You see my cursor kind of knocking around all that. I'll kind of draw it out on the chart just to make sure everybody is aware of it. I'll kind of draw from one side to the other. That's all volume. That's what we're talking about there. Okay. So that's our first thing we have on our charts, volume. All right. as everybody can see, they're drawn up there. So that's volume. We'll leave that there. Next thing, obviously, you see is price action. We have our price action are based on candles. In this instance, they're based on 60-minute candles. So take a look at those, and you can see for the candle video that we have, it's a volume and candle video that we have. It's on our site there to kind of teach you how to read price action with candles. And because there's a lot going on, they tell a full story. You know, we don't necessarily use candlestick patterns here like the traditional candlestick patterns, but we do have a value on the wicks and the bodies and what those are telling us. And so we definitely use that for price action purposes. Okay. Then we have support and resistance, which are identified here by the swing indicator. So we can have a visual of what that is. And that swing indicator is, set to 2, so it's pretty tight, pretty loose actually. So, but it's just for visual purposes, because ultimately it comes down to supply and demand. And what you're going to see around support and resistance, really good, strong support and resistance, you're going to find areas of supply and demand. So that's the real purpose of the swing indicators, to kind of remind me, okay, we had support here, resistance there, so we can kind of start looking at supply and demand areas around those swings, swing high and swing lows, and then that'll kind of give you an opportunity to set aside your supply and demand. So that's what those are. That's what the swing traders, the swing indicator is all about. So all right, and then supply and demand is very traditional, meaning that there's a lot of supply and demand traders out there, but we're no different. We might create our supply and demand a little bit different, and we give it a little bit different of a value on how supply and demand is identified with us. We have a little bit different criteria that probably most people do when it comes to supply and demand, but there's no way you can deny supply and demand that it's a very valuable, important part of trading, as it is in the world. But supply and demand is very, very easily identified with institutional traders, and you can be on the side of the institutions, is where we want to be anyway. That's where we want to be to make our money, is being the bigger moves. So we can do that by supply and demand. Okay. So with that being said, let me kind of get rid of this here. Kind of just went over the 4 tools briefly, but instead of trying to get into an in-depth discussion on those, please check out the videos on the channel to kind of watch those. They're not very long, so you can take a few minutes to watch those and kind of really get an in-depth study on that and what that has to offer. Okay. All right. So let's see here. Start looking for some stuff here. So if you have any questions, jump in there, ask them, and I'll kind of talk through them. But
yeah, I sure will.
Yeah, but it's kind of the same stuff that we do every morning, right? It's just the candle is just worth more, but everything else applies. We just have to adjust our risk rewards and our parameter, our risk management, the money management a little bit differently. It's really what it comes down to. It's already pushing 9. It's at 9:30 Eastern time, so it's already, market's kind of moving very slow here. Which we're going to get slower movements in the evening. We know that, but we would like to have a little bit more directional opportunity right now, and I just don't have it to mark it up. So I kind of have to wait on that. The area that we did have marked up was actually traded earlier today, so we can't really trade that right now. So we just have to kind of look to see. This live stream where we start doing at night, it's going to be probably pretty quick. The more I think about it, just because we're doing on 1-hour candles here, and it's in the evening time, so we'll mark our positions up probably pretty fast, our opportunities, our trade zones, and our potential trades. We'll probably set those orders in early, that kind of stuff, and and not spend a whole lot of time in the live stream each night, just because there'd be so much dead time. It's a lot different than our 5-minute time frames we trade in the morning. In our live streams, there's enough dead time in that still, but you can imagine how much more exaggerated it is in the evening times. So this is definitely just an experiment to kind of do it in the evening to see how people like it and see if people enjoy it. And if because I know a lot of people just can't trade during the day, they're at work. So if we can kind of do the same methodology but do it in the evening time on a larger time frame where they can kind of see it, and kind of put trades in at night, and then that would be what would keep us going here as far as doing a live stream channel about it. But it's going to be it's going to be interesting for a few days and see how we can handle that, because we're going to have to be entertainers here for sure. But anyway, so kind of not a whole lot moving right now. We'll kind of just look at everything and see what positions that have been put into and where we're at, and all that good stuff. Gotta accomplish that again. You see some good movement, right? You can see very good movement here. Our window of opportunity in this session will be in the evening times, and holding positions through the night based on what happened earlier in the daytime. So let's just get into my office here. But so excuse me, sorry about that. Alright, so just kind of looking around a little bit, guys. Just give me a minute here, just kind of look and see what we got. If we have any opportunities that could be setting up, then we'll kind of identify those and then kind of go from there. So give me just 1 second. Everything I see right now has been triggered, so that's kind of put us in a position not to mark up a whole lot right now. We will have a zone way back up here, maybe. I could definitely mark that on a 1 hour time frame, so I will mark that back here. But that's way up there, away from price right now, so I'm not going to mess with it. Down to the short side, what do we have opportunity to trade out of? Maybe got a hidden zone here, over here, that we could possibly look at to get some rejection. Let's see here, but it's just been pushed through and a couple times, so not the ideal location right now. We're kind of in the sideways market here. A little bit of an up move. You can trend line it here and you can actually see some of that. Let me see here. I'll do that. Gotta draw this out here. Some of the basic stuff that everybody kind of probably pretty familiar with and aware of. Not the best little channel potential there. I would actually probably draw that a little bit differently here, more from an upside here, to be honest with you. Yeah, so it's just not a lot of good stuff right now to even mess with. We're definitely sideways here, from here to the bottom. We could use Fibonacci's here on an hourly time frame. That would be good, but that's not part of our methodology. But they could become important, or something to look at on a larger time frame here, just because the moves are so wide, and which we like, but you're gonna end up finding you're gonna start catching these big moves out of these areas that have big opportunities. You'll start catching these at the right times in the evenings, and you'll wake up to some nice stuff. But there's a lot of things happening in the European session that we can be a part of, which is good. So we just have to kind of watch that, you know. I mean, this was a really good area that didn't take off till the afternoon, but we would have been in this trade and through the evening time, all through the night, and it never would have gone in our direction very much anyway. And but we would have loved it the next day when we caught this big move down. Because what you're going to find on these big moves here, and for an example, let's look at this move here just because it's obvious. You know, so we would have had a zone right there, which we have one actually built already. So we would have taken a trade out of this zone. We would have had a stop, obviously, from here to here. So let me put a little ruler on that just so you can kind of see what we're talking about. Okay, you have a 4-point stop there, okay? But your target, where our targets would be, your target's going to be all the way down here to this swing low down here. So you have a 24-point target, right? So I think that's pretty good, right? You risk 4 to make 24. So these are the kind of moves that we're going to catch, and we're patient to catch them in the evening for the swing trades, because one catch like that is a pretty good week, right? Yeah, 24 points. You can do a lot of damage with that, you know, holding a 4-point stop. So these are the kind of moves that we will catch, and we just have to be patient and wait for them. You'll catch at least one a week, you know, which is good, especially in the evening times through certain days. You're going to catch those on certain days. So I just have to be patient and watch them, but they will be there quite often, and we just have to hold tight and hang on. Well, let's see here. So I'm sure Soda is probably watching on a 5-minute chart, aren't you, Soda?
I'm not. No, I'm on the 1 hour. No, I'm trying to figure out. I'm on the 1 hour chart. I'm trying to figure out. I'm sorry?
Go ahead. No, yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to figure out. I drew this right, and you did it too, so I'm glad I got that. You're using the 10 o'clock candle for that zone up there, for that supply zone?
For the future? Yeah, for the future, I'm using.
Yeah, for the future.
Yeah, it's a 10 o'clock candle, but I'm kind of tightened it up to all the way to the 8 o'clock candle. But yeah, that's the candle.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. I was thinking the same thing, so that's good. Now I'm trying to figure this out. You said that we would have caught this trade going down.
Yeah.
Based on the, are you talking about based on the 1300-hour candle?
Nope, based on the 2100-hour candle.
2100.
This candle right here. You see that inverted hammer on 2100 on the 24th?
September?
What's that?
Wait, I'm sorry.
Go back on the 24th.
What day?
On the 24th. Yep, on the 24th. So at 2100 hours.
Okay.
You see that candle? I'll circle it for you.
Yeah, circle it.
If you look at my chart, I'll circle it for you.
Okay. Okay, first, yeah. That happens, by the way, that's September 22nd.
What's that?
You said
It's the 24th.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm looking at it.
On the 24th.
Okay.
You got it?
I see it, yes.
Okay, you see a circle around it?
I do.
Okay, that's a hidden zone, right?
Correct.
Okay, at 2100 hours. So during our session, we would have marked that up, right? Just like normal.
Okay.
So I'm not doing this after fact. I mean, this is what we do every day, right, on a 5-minute chart. So it's the same exact concept on the hourly chart. So we would have marked this up, okay, knowing that we would have done that ahead of time. As soon as it was formed, we would have said, okay, this is a hidden zone. We're going to watch that. Okay, we would let price get away from it, which it does. Okay, so remember, on a hidden zone, we don't have to break the previous swing low on a hidden zone. So we would have got into that and saying, okay, well, we got to now price moved away from that on 2200 hours. Okay, so we would have put our order in to go for, and win or lose, we're going to put our order in here and let it sit there. We would have our order in at the, because of the inversion, the inverted of that hammer there. I mean, that's definitely a bearish hammer candle, right? So we would have put our order in right here at 07 1/4, 3007 1/4, right?
Okay.
Based on our method, we would have done that, correct?
Right.
All right. So we would have put in there. So we would have been triggered in the trade either at 1 o'clock in the morning or definitely at 2 o'clock in the morning. We would have been triggered into that trade while you're sleeping. You would have been in this trade would have been triggered while you're asleep. Okay.
Okay.
So we would have got, a few points in. We would have got a few points, but nothing that we're wanting yet. We're wanting on this method here. We're wanting 5 to 10 reward to our risk. Okay, so our trade exit we know it's gonna be all the way down here. We already know that based on we like that on the previous swing. We're holding out for a profit target all the way down here around around 83.25. Okay, so that's the difference. That's the difference here, sort of, versus what we do in the morning when we're looking to get our point and kind of catching a runner. Here we're holding for longer positions because our stop, we're not going to have a 1-point stop on this swing trade. Our stop's going to go right above now. It's going to go right above our inside bar candle. Right.
Okay. So it's going to go 10 1/4, 10 point 1/4.
Yeah, 10 1/4. That's exactly right. That's where it would go. 10 1/4 would be our stop in this trade. So we're going to be risking 3 points.
Okay.
We're risking 3 points.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Because when I was trying to figure it out yesterday, and when I was trying to figure it out yesterday, and even today, I was doing 4 to 5 point window to give him room for breathing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
This is just me trying to figure it out. So. Okay, that's good to know. So we're just going outside. Wait, are we doing 3 points, or it just has to be outside the zone? It has to be 3 points.
Yeah, it just happens to be 3 points outside our zone. So, if our candle was a 10-point candle, it'd be a 10-point stop. It just depends on that candle that we trade, but because based on our method, okay, when you learn our method, or our method, but when everybody learns our method, they're going to understand why we do what we do. But based on this candle right here, we're putting our stop 1 tick outside of that range that we've got marked up right here. So we would have been in this trade about 2 o'clock in the morning. They would have triggered us into this trade. Okay, and then we would have got, from that point, we would have got about 7-8 points into profit, but we wouldn't have moved our stop at that point. We're asleep, so our trailing stop is different here. Our ATM strategy is different here. Okay, so we would end up having a much deeper trailing stop. But as you can see, the price come back up in here about 8 o'clock in the morning, just about the time we're starting to get on our morning session. So we would be in this trade as we got in our morning session. We'd be saying, hey, we're in a trade from our overnight swing, so we got to bias to the downside here, so we can still trade to the downside on our intraday. But we were looking for a big move based on the swing right here back here at 1700. Let me draw a line here. So right here, based on the 1700, we know we got our first. Once we get to this point right here, once price got to this point, our ATM strategy would have moved into a point or two of profit. So we're guaranteed to win. But we're holding actually down to this location down here. Okay, we're holding to this full swing to the low. Does that make sense?
Right.
You don't sound too confident on that.
No, I am sorry. So, makes actually perfect sense now. And what, so I understand the stuff, what is going to be, or maybe you don't want to get into it now, what is going to be our profit target? Doing 13 contracts, or in my case, or do you do, what set of contracts do you do, and how many do you release at a time, or do you just have one spot to release them all?
No. Yeah, from this area right here, this is my first target profit right here, at this low at $29.93. This would be my first profit target.
Okay, 29.
Yeah.
29.93.
Yeah, because that's our immediate swing low that actually broke above the resistance up here. But this is our swing right here. That's my first profit target, just in case it bounces out of there. Okay.
Okay, so that's you just going to the previous swing to make your stop. Is that right?
Yeah. To make for my first exit out of my position, my first positions, it's going to come out right there at the previous swing. In this case, it just happens to be down here at 93. Okay, that would be my first swing exit. Okay, and then I might. Whoa, did I lose you? Soto, did I lose you, bud?
Yeah, no, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Hello?
I got you.
Okay, yeah, I'm here.
So we just have bigger movements, guys. I mean, that's the biggest thing here. We just have bigger moves, so you have to, but the methodology is exactly the same as our 5-minute methodology in our morning sessions. It's exactly the same. It just has a little bit more wider stop, but it also has, I mean, right here I'm risking 23 to make my final position 25 points, and I know that before the trade ever triggers. So I can set the ATM each night based on what my parameters are. Does that make sense? So you'll be setting it each night based on what we see where our potentials are. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So, but right now, presently, we don't have that opportunity, so I hate that. Being the first night here, we don't have that good setup that we could actually take a trade or set a position on, so that's unfortunate, but it's just what it is, we know that Friday's moved in the afternoon pretty well, so not a lot going to happen between now and Friday probably, except in the morning. But as far as us setting a position, we really don't have a position to set tonight, so that's kind of going to be one of the things that these nightly sessions could be very quick, just for the fact that no reason to sit here and kick around and try to force something. It needs to be obvious, like it was here. Okay, but we just don't have that set right now. Do you agree to that? Based on the methodology that we trade in the morning, it's the same thing. It's just instead of these candles being worth 5 minutes, they're worth an hour.
Right, yeah.
That's the only difference.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, I'm trying to look to see if I can find something. So you're saying now? Okay, here's another question. How far do we put up a scenario? So you said, going back to the example you put up, the 2100 candle. When would we put that in? When did we log in to put that trade in?
When did we decide to put the trade in?
Yeah, like when? What time? I mean,
we put that. So we would have been sitting here right now into that time frame, right? Based on we'd come in here at about 8 o'clock, right? 8 to 9 o'clock. We're going to come in here every night, right? And we'll stay here for an hour or two, basically. And so we would have watched this candle happen in real time. Okay, we would have seen this candle. So then we needed to break away from that, which would have been this candle at 2200. So as soon as this 2200 hour candle closed, I would have known at this point, okay, I'm looking for a trade to be on the short here. So I would have gone in and set my trade up at 207 1/4 entry right after that 2200 candle that closed down here, way down here. You follow me? Or no? No?
Well, I'm trying to. No, I'm not, because the time you're talking about. Let me see if I can figure it out.
It's 10 o'clock.
Is we would have gone 10 o'clock in the morning.
No, it's 10 o'clock at night, man.
Oh, okay. So
that's like in 9 minutes.
Okay.
Because this is Eastern time. So
you're talking about. Okay.
You follow me?
All right.
So this is, I mean, we're watching this thing about to close right now. If we were sitting in this real time right now, that candle would have the candle we got circled up would have happened an hour ago. And we're sitting here watching this candle close, knowing that, okay, I got confidence now that I'm going to go ahead and say I'm willing to risk that that's going to be a area of a hidden supply. So I'm 5 points away from that entry right now. So I'm going to go ahead and set, because I'm not going to sit here all night, right? This is the purpose. This is the whole point of this swing trade. Is I'm willing to risk my 3 points to know I can sit here and say my first position is going to be out right here at this previous swing low if I get in. So let me go ahead and just do a ruler on that. So here's where I'm at sitting. So right now, at this point in time, if I was sitting on this day live, okay, which this is a Monday night, okay, so I'd be sitting right here saying, all right, it's this candle's about to close. This big red candle I'm on right here is about to close. Okay, it's 2200 hours. All right, so it's about to close on me. Okay, I've marked up my inside zone, which we know is a hidden zone. So it's a hidden supply zone is what it is. We know that, right? It's a hidden supply. So, all right, I'm going to go backwards and look where my next previous swing low is at, which in this case happens to be at the 1700 candle. Okay, the big green candle down here where it's got support.
Yep.
Okay, so I know right now that that's 14.75 points away from my entry. So I can make the decision right now to say, okay, I'm willing to risk 3 points. The worst case, if it goes in my direction, I'm willing to risk 3 points to make 14 3/4 points on my first. That's where I would exit my first position. So I can put my ATM. I can create my ATM right now, my first position, to say I want my profit target at 14 or 15 points, whatever it is. Okay. So now I can say, okay, now I've got where do I want my exit, where do I want my next position to come out at? And I can say, okay, I measured it. It's at 25.5 points. So I'm going to put my second position to exit at 25.5. Okay. So, and then my last position is just going to be a running position. You know, I leave in there. Don't even mess with it. Just leave it in there a couple ticks. And then when I wake up in the morning, I check it out. And in this case, I could manually move it when I got into this position. I could watch this price action drop and I could move it. But, so I'm getting into this trade right about now. Or I'm setting my trade up right about now on this day right here. So that's one thing on the swing trade. We're not going to be able to wait for it to get 3 or 4 candles away before we decide that that's a good zone to trade out of. Like we can on our 5-minute check candles. We can do that in the morning. We can't do that here. We just have to be really good at our entries, knowing that our rewards are so much bigger than our risk, that we're willing to use our expertise of knowing what supply and demand is, and put our best guess in there and putting the trade in. And we decide in real time whether it's worth our risk to do it. If it's not worth our risk, then we simply just don't do it. You know? So we're not going to trade as often as we do every day. When we trade every day, multiple times every day in the morning in our 9 to 11 sessions, but here on the swing trade, it's not going to be that case. You know, you're going to get 1 to 2 trades a week, but those 1 to 2 trades a week are going to kick tail. I mean, they're going to be pretty good. I mean, they're going to be 20 plus point targets, you know. So with a small risk. So that's going to be the difference, man, in learning to trade this method. it's the exact same method. It's just you have to be a little bit more aggressive and trusting your ability to point out supply and demand. So that's it in a nutshell, man. You kind of sound lost on it. You don't like it, do you?
No, I got it.
It's just new.
The problem was miscommunication on my part. I was trying to ask, during that time when that happened, that scenario we just talked about, that's midnight, right?
No.
So we would have not been on at that time. You're saying if that scenario happened, like right now, during this time, we would have done what you just said.
Okay. Yeah, that's what would have been the case during this trade.
Correct.
I mean, we would have put the order in to go short, but it wouldn't have triggered. That trade wouldn't have actually triggered until he would have actually ticked us in at 1 o'clock in the morning. But we wouldn't have been up to see that. We just would have gone to bed with our orders sitting there, with our ATM strategy ready to work for us. So the trade didn't actually trigger till 1 o'clock in the morning, but we're not sitting up watching that. We'd made that decision.
Right.
We made that decision at 2200 hours, at 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock at night, we made that decision. We're going in at this trade, and here's our risk. We have defined risk and defined profit, right? So.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know military time. Yeah, the 22 hours is killing. I don't understand it. I got it now. So that's 11 o'clock and that's 10 o'clock. I am so dumb. Yeah, I got it now.
22
For some reason, I'm thinking
2200 hours is 10.
10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, when you said 22, I'm thinking like midnight. I'm thinking like 2 in the morning.
No.
It just sounds like a really weird time. Yes, you're. Never mind. I feel really dumb now because I'm thinking, okay, we're not going to be up at 3 in the morning trading. But that's not 3 in the morning. That's 10 o'clock.
That's right
so
now.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
That's right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what and that's what that's what this night trading is going to be about. We're going to get on here anywhere from 8 to 10 o'clock at night. Just depending on how we decide to do that. I don't know that we'll ever be on here for 2 hours just because there's not a whole lot to do. It's really a 5-minute deal. Okay. Here's the setup. We like it. It looks good. All right, we'll go with it. Or we see something forming here. We might have to sit on for an hour to wait to see if it forms, like we would have had to do on this particular trade right here. We would have had to sit till 10 o'clock, to see if it does it, if it sets up, and then we would have set our trade in and gone on to bed at that point. But so that's how all this night trading is going to be. At night in the evening, it's going to be in the 8 to 10 o'clock range, which is 20 to 2200 hour range. That's what we'll be looking to get into trades, just because of the fact that it's different, but it's for people that can't trade during the day, and that's the main thing. We're taking our exact same method we trade every day on a 5-minute, but we're going to turn it into a longer time frame, which is a 60-minute, a 1 hour candle, because it's slower and it gives more people the time to get into trade. So if I were ever going to do trade signals, send out what they call trade signals, I would do it on this time frame. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to create a service for that. I'm just not going to do that. So, but if people, the whole purpose of this night session here is if they want to come check it out, then they can check it out.
Right.
Why are you laughing?
It's the way you're saying it. It's like somebody was trying to convince you to do it. And you're like, I'm not going to do that. No. I don't think anybody's arguing with you, buddy.
Well, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of services out there that do it, and I'm just like, man, I'm not going to. We don't charge for what we teach people in the morning, so I'm sure not going to charge for what we teach people at night.
Right.
And especially for signals like this, it's so slow. I could do this video and somebody could come on at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and watch it, and trade still hadn't triggered, and they still have time to put the trade in. So it's not. I'm just not. I just don't. I feel like I take advantage of people doing that. I'm just not going to do that. So, like I said, that's what we do.
So here's the question.
Yep.
Yeah. What about the 17? Okay, now to closer to where we are now today.
Yeah.
The 17-hour candle, that doji looking, I think the doji.
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
doji.
it actually is not. It's a inverted hammer. But anyways, what about that for a supply zone?
Yeah, I mean it's a hidden supply for sure, but it's
Right.
yeah, it's a hidden
But why
supply.
not use that tonight? For example, why wouldn't we use that for our setup for tonight?
Well, we could actually. Yeah, I just missed it.
You what?
Yeah, we could use that.
Okay. Well, no. You said you didn't like it.
No, I didn't say that. I just said I missed it.
Oh, you missed it. Oh, okay.
Take care.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, you pointed it out. I looked at it, but I didn't pay much attention to it. Oh, yeah, it could be used. Yeah, because it absolutely could be used right now as a matter of fact, I might just do that for the fun of it since you pointed it out. We've got a lot of rejection wick up there, right? Definitely got a lot of rejection wick up there above us, and making lower highs. So that's always a good sign of a downtrend, right? Lower highs.
Yeah.
The only problem is we're making higher lows at the same time. So we're kind of wedging, kind of doing a little bit of a wedge right here. I'll draw it out just for the purposes of drawing it out, but it's kind of a wedge going on right here, and I'm not liking that, but so that's kind of what the wedge would look like right there. Higher lows and higher highs and vice versa, so it's kind of creating that wedge, but I would definitely see that this would be a position to definitely works as an inside candle. Let me go ahead and draw that. Most people probably can't see that because it's right there on. It's a 1700 candle, so it's right there on the close.
Right.
It's that candle there, but I've got the high and low drawn in on this supply box here. So yeah, it could absolutely be. We could actually put an order to go short here and just say, okay, we're willing to risk, because here's the deal. Let me do this, risk to reward. So if I'm putting an order in here, I put my stop right at 3 1/4. Okay, so
83 1/4.
Yeah, that's where my stop would be. But here's look at my chart here. I'm putting a risk to reward tool on here. So, because right now we would have to say our first position. Where would we take our first position off? If we got in short right here.
If we got in here, hold on, let me look at my. I think based on what you just taught me, and from my understanding, without taking any responsibility, I will have to say
yeah, that's all education.
63.75.
63.75.
Or ballpark around there. Yeah, sorry, 64.5.
Yeah, 60. Yeah, absolutely. 64 1/4, 64 right there. Yeah, absolutely. That would be our first target, right? I mean, that makes sense.
Right.
That would be our first area of support we're coming into. So that would be my first target area. I'd front run that just a little bit. But this tool that I've got drawn on here is a 3 to 1 tool, meaning that I don't think I've changed it. Yeah, so that means we got 3 to 1 in favor, a 3 to 1 reward versus our risk. Okay, that's what that means right there. So at our first target, we're basically 3 to 1 to reward the risk. So to me, that says, okay, I'm good with that. I like that. I'm willing to. So I got to decide: am I willing to risk? Let me see what this is here. So I got to say, am I willing to risk 4 1/4, 3/4 points to make 13, basically, right?
Right. You have all this tool though. Oh, I have that tool too.
Yeah, you got it. Everybody's got it. If you got NinjaTrader.
Okay, well, I'm learning.
Yeah, we don't use this in our day trade, but but then here, this is a tool you'll learn. But here, I got to make this decision. Am I willing to take a 4 3/4 point risk to make 14 3/4? Is that a good risk reward to you? Do you think?
Yeah, you said say that one more time.
Would you be willing to risk 4 3/4 points? All right, almost 5 points to make almost 15 points.
Yes, yes.
That's a 3 to 1, isn't it? basically.
That's correct.
So
Yes.
that would say, okay, to me, I'm willing to take that risk because I've got a supply zone here based on a hidden candle at 1700 that we have circled. So I'd be willing to go short. I'd be willing to put an entry to the short side here, right at 78 and a half.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
78.5.
I'd be willing to go short there
Okay. All right.
with my first target off at 14.75.
Okay. By the way, now you're learning how bad of a student I am. I'm so slow.
No, you're fine. No, this is just a little bit more to wrap your head around because even though it's the same method that we do in the morning, it's a little bit different of how we trade parameter wise and risk management wise. It's a little bit different.
No, I like this. I think this is what I was born for. I like this overnight. I make money while I sleep.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely.
No, this is pretty cool. Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and put an order in.
Absolutely.
No, you're fine. I'm gonna go ahead and put an order in for two contracts, and just let it sit there. I'm gonna put it in at 78 and a half. And
okay, now you're only doing 2 because this is a trading scenario. But if you're in my case, let's say you have 13 contracts, what would you do here?
well, I'm still doing based on the account that you're trading off of. I can't do it like I do my day trading account. So I'm gonna have to use one contract for every $5,000 to $6,000 here. Okay. Just because I have a longer stop.
Okay. So I'm only going to do 2 contracts.
Yeah. I do 2 contracts for the channel purposes. So.
Right. But you're saying the risk to reward, we need to do instead of one for every 1,000, here's about one for every 5,000.
Yeah, we'll do one contract for every 5,000 on this method, on the swing trading method here. But, during our day trading method, where you do one contract for every 1,000, because we only have 1 point stops.
Right.
You're losing $50. Versus here, you could lose quite a bit more than that.
Right.
So I want to make sure that I'm still, because even at 1 to 5,000 here, it's still going to feel like $50 on your overall $6,000 account, right? I mean, on your $5,000 risk that you're willing to take per contract. If you lose, it's going to be $250, right? So I'm risking $250 times 2 contracts of $500. I'm risking $500 versus making what's that? A couple 3,000. So I'm willing to do that. I have no problem with that. So anyway, well, I don't want to go much longer, man. No, you're fine. I don't want to go much longer. I'm tired, and I got kids that still need to finish up with some homework. So,
So but anyway,
huh?
Put this in there. Okay, sorry. We just put that in there, and we just have to set the ATM, right?
Yeah, just set the ATM for now. You need your first target to come out at 15 points. Do that in ticks or points or whatever. And then set your my second target would be down here at 53.75 at the bottom of this 11 o'clock candle from a couple days ago. See that? That's where my second target would be.
Okay.
But my ATM would move when I took out my first target. My ATM still got to move into profit, right? Just like normal.
Okay.
Yeah. That way I got those other positions into profit, and I can't lose at that point.
And when will you lock in your second profit at? At the same place where you went out on? One tick into it?
Yes. When my first profit target goes out, the rest of my positions are coming into a couple ticks.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and make it a full point, being that swing trading like this, and make it a 4 tick profit instead of 1 tick.
All right.
You follow me?
I do.
Cool. Well, all right. Well, man, this is just just throwing this in for the first night here, trying to figure out a little bit, kind of introducing the swing trade here for the channel. But we'll probably look at doing it again Sunday night,
Sweet.
Always have good moves on Sunday night. If anybody's interested in that, people don't realize that, but there's always great moves on Sunday nights. So we'll be back here on Sunday night and do it again about 8 or 9 o'clock. Okay, but guys, if anybody's watching this interested in it, we trade every morning from 9 to 11 on the channel, and we have 1-point stops and 1-point targets. But check us out there as well, and we can kind of get a little bit more deeper into the method. And it's a lot faster than this because we use 5-minute candles. So if anybody's interested in that, please check us out. But again, thanks for everybody for watching this video. And if you like it, have any kind of interest in it, please subscribe and kind of get updates on what's coming on, and like the video, and that would be very much appreciated. Well, all right, guys. All right, Soto, man, good job. It was a little quick one tonight, and just trying to, for the first time, not bad. Just trying to figure a little bit out, and we'll see you bright and early in the morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 o'clock Central, and we'll make some points in the morning. All right?
See you there. Thank you, buddy.
All right, buddy. See you later. All right, so let me go ahead and get out of here and close her down.
You've been listening and watching the Titan Futures 1 Point a Day Challenge. Live stream. Remember, we're live daily, 9 to 11, and BK, Soto, and Mitchell are here to help. The Titan Futures 1 Point a Day Challenge, where anyone can learn how to day trade the futures market. Till next time.